I love your neck tattoo. That is badass.
Thank you. It's kind of my logo, the axes.
Love it. Did it hurt to get it?
Oh, yeah, it hurt really bad.
I would imagine, yeah, because they would.
Tattoos hurt really bad. Don't do it. As I have like a million of them.
But yours looks so cool. So,
Oh,
like, the pain is worth it, right?
I think so, sort of. When I'm sitting in the chair, though, getting it done, I don't think so. I'm like, why did I do this?
What was the first one you got done?
I had the back of my neck tattooed backstage at a Linkin Park concert. I think I was 18.
Good, of age, legal.
Yeah.
All was
yeah,
done.
legal, definitely legal. But once you get one, you have to keep going. And then you're like, oh, but it looks weird here. I need to fill in this space. And then you end up with a full body of tattoos.
Well, you're in music, so if you're going to have them anywhere, this is the field.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I definitely have the job stoppers. The neck and the hands. I mean, nobody's going to ever hire me, so I better make music work.
I think you're doing okay.
So far.
So far,
pretty good.
Let's talk about natural causes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What inspired the album? And is it like, we were talking about this backstage the other day. What do you even call it anymore? Do you call it an album?
I do. I'm a big fan of albums. Like, I love to listen front to back to an album and go on a journey. It's not about singles for me. And that's why I have an intro on the album. It's called Wilderness, and it kind of just sets the tone, you know? The inspiration for the album, I mean, I wrote it over 3 years. And a lot happens in 3 years. I went through a few different evolutions sonically. And so by the end of the time period, it was a little bit difficult to pick the final songs for the album because there were some that kind of had a little folky thing happening. Some were kind of hip hop. Some were kind of avant-garde. And so it was difficult to choose the songs, but I think I got it to a place that it flows. But there's still enough diversity to not get bored. And the album is just like, it's about life. I know the title is Natural Causes, so it sounds like it's about death. But I mean, I guess death is a part of life, so
it's all natural.
Yeah, it's all natural. It's about nature causing everything. I'm a huge nature fan. I live in the woods, I don't live in the woods, but near the woods. I live in the mountains in Utah, and yeah, it's just nature is very important to my creative process.
So when you say that you came up with the flow of the album, how do you do that? I mean, do you like say, I want to start it out kind of on a more upbeat tone and then just kind of like talk to me about that? Because I would not know where to begin if someone told me to do that.
Well, I mean, it starts with just writing a bunch of songs. And then, certain favorites stick with you through the whole process. And like Wilderness was a song that I actually started writing with Labyrinth in the studio. It was for him initially. But I just loved it so much, and he ended up not doing anything with that little piece. And so I turned it into the intro of my album. And I don't know, it's just like these little things stand out and stick with you, and it just kind of comes together. It's
like if you can't let it go, then it's working.
Yeah, exactly. I think the good ones last the longest too. So, like 3 years ago, I mean, Kill For You is one of the oldest songs on the album. Come Up For Air is very old as well, and those stuck through.
And yet they feel so fresh. Just like the air in Utah. Oh my God, I can't believe I went there. How do you know that a song is working? Who do you play it for first?
I get a lot of feedback from a lot of different people. I'm signed to Kid in a Corner, so that's Alex the Kid, and he's kind of like the person that I bounce everything off of. But other than that, I mean, I kind of just do what I feel. I'm really lucky in the fact that I get to be very free creatively, and my team and my label are very supportive of me just doing what I want to do for the most part.
No one's breathing down your neck saying churn out single after single after single.
No, not anymore. At least I kind of changed the way we did things, and now it's all very natural causes.
Okay, I'll stop.
We're so stubborn.
I really had to just shut myself up. You started out writing songs for others.
Well,
You weren't.
that's kind of true and not. I mean, I've been performing since I was 6 years old professionally, and I toured with my mom in a duo.
Which I think is so cool, by the way, that you guys did that.
Yeah, it's really cool. I quit. I actually went solo when I was 14 because it wasn't cool to sing with my mom anymore. And actually, it was never cool, but
Come on, it's so cute.
it was cute, yeah. And then when cool became the word that the teens were using, yeah, it wasn't cool. So I went solo, started writing my own material, and moved to LA when I was 17. And I got my first record deal with Warner Brothers and put out an album then. So actually, songwriting for other people happened after that. And it happened kind of by accident. I wrote a song called Love the Way You Lie, which got picked up by Eminem and Rihanna. And then, after that, it kind of opened a lot of doors, and a lot of different people were calling me to write songs for them.
And then how did you go from that to writing songs for yourself? Or did you always do both?
I've always written songs for myself. I mean, even when I was 7 years old, playing my first piano recital, it was an original piece. So it's just always been part of, songwriting in general has always been a part of me. And then, I've always imagined myself performing my songs. So it's kind of weird to give them away in a sense, But it was a great surprise in my career to be able to do that. And it led to a lot of great relationships and things. So it's allowed me to be able to be an artist, too. Because, songwriting actually is what pays my bills. And then I get to be an artist, and it's almost like, it's just like a fun thing for me to do.
Well, and songwriting is also an incredible talent that a lot of people don't have, so it's pretty solid for you that you can do it. I think that's great, and it probably speaks to a lot of longevity on your part.
Thank you. Yes.
Talk to me about working with Eminem.
He's great. He's definitely my favorite collaborator to date. Just a joy to work with, so talented and smart and has great ideas, and I learn something new every time I work with him.
And did your relationship on this album stem from Love the Way You Lie?
Yeah, Love the Way You Lie is what started it all. And funny story though, that song happened when I was living in a cabin in the woods in Oregon. I'd actually kind of quit the music industry. I was very down on my luck, and kind of reconnected with myself and my passion for music there in the woods when I was just totally isolated from the world. And so decided I needed to make music work. And so I reached out to my publisher, and she connected me with Alex the Kid. He sent me a beat. I wrote the hook, Love the Way You Lie, sent it back. And then he got it to Eminem's camp. And then, so Alex was in New York. I was in a cabin in the woods in Oregon. Eminem was in Detroit. And then Rihanna, I think she recorded her part in Dublin. And so this song just came together. And then a month later, it was #1 on iTunes. And none of us had been in the room together.
That's kind of amazing.
It's kind of crazy, like technology these days. It's crazy.
Well, before we even get back to you working with Eminem, how did you reconnect with your music when you were in the cabin? What happened?
Well, it was after my first record deal kind of fell apart, and I went broke. I also broke up with my boyfriend. It was very traumatic. And so I just left LA. I couldn't afford to live there anymore. And I had writer's block, really bad writer's block. I couldn't even remember why I liked music at that time. It wasn't fun for me anymore. It was a chore. And so I kind of just went on like a soul-searching journey and isolated myself from the world. I wanted to be somewhere that was free of judgment. I didn't want people's opinions to have any effect on me. And I just needed to, rediscover my own opinions of the world and music and art and everything. And so that happened over time. I was there in the woods for 4 months. Wow. In a little one-room cabin, very, very rustic.
That's intense.
It was kind of intense, but it was amazing, too. And I came out of there feeling so empowered because I was like, if I can survive that and be happy living on no money and, barely any human interaction, then I can do anything. And so that's kind of what started it all, me coming back into the music industry. And I came back with so much more confidence than I'd ever had before. And Love the Way You Lie was the first song that came out of that. And so that was kind of like a validation that I had done the right thing,
So given that you never met Eminem while you were working on Love the Way You Lie, how did you end up connecting with him for this?
Well, after that song blew up, he invited me and Alex to come to Detroit and work for Dr. Dre. And
Wait,
so that
Doctor Who? No, I'm kidding.
that was that was the first time I met M and Dre. It was the same day in Detroit when we came to the studio, and that was a very intimidating situation. I was very shy.
I can't even imagine walking in being like, hi.
I was like, hi.
Hello.
Just kind of kept my mouth shut and played him a song that wrote I Need a Doctor. Actually, we prepared that. Alex and I presented it to them when we got to Detroit, and they kind of just like worked on it there and finished it up. And that was the first time we worked together, and then it continued after that.
That's a pretty damn good collaborator to have,
Yeah.
I must say.
Yeah, I'm so blessed.
And I know that you were just touring, so how did that go?
Tour was really fun. I got to play all the new songs, almost all the new songs off the album, and I was surprised to see people singing along already to the songs. That always makes me so happy. I don't know why. But yeah, it was really fun. And we're going to go back out in December.
What is it like being on stage in front of that many people? Do you get shy? Do you get nervous?
I get nervous before my shows, for sure. Especially if it's like a one-off. If I'm on tour doing the same set every night, it's a little bit easier. But I get very nervous before like a one-off show. And that's why I have my beer and bourbon.
Amen.
Yeah.
See, I love this girl, lady, woman. Because she's not like, I'm going to drink my warm milk.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Who drinks warm milk?
I don't know. Some people will just tell you, like,
That
they have a
just
prayer
sounds-
circle and, they...
I don't know. Warm milk sounds gross to me.
So you've collaborated with some pretty amazing people. Who else do you want to work with?
Well, Kendrick Lamar is my dream collab at the moment. And I've said it in every interview, and I'm hoping that at some point he catches wind and gives me a call. But yeah, that's my dream right now.
And then what else are you going to be doing? You're going back out on the road in December.
In December, yes. And right now I get to go home and take a little bit of time off because, tour was very exhausting. And I get to enjoy the mountains. I heard it snowed last week there already, so that's kind of crazy. And spend some time with my dog. And then I'm working on a little creative project. It's a little book of illustrations. Yeah, that explain my lyrics through visuals. But I'm not really an artist, so they're really bad drawings. And they're like with crayons. It kind of looks like a 5-year-old did it.
I think that sounds kind of cool, though.
But it's like explaining my lyrics through a visual and pointing out things and deeper layers of the lyrics that you might not get the first time you read it or listen to it. So I'm working on that. And then I think I have some writing sessions booked in LA, so I'll make a couple trips to LA to do those. I don't know what they're for yet, though.
How do your writing sessions work? Do you come up with the melodies first or the lyrics, or does it not matter?
Usually these type of sessions, I get like presented with some tracks that the artist or the movie or whatever already likes. And then I just like come up with top lines for those. That's how these sessions happen usually. But I do all different things. Sometimes I'll sit at a piano and start it there. Or for a lot of my album, I actually got together with, so Mike Elizondo and Mark Batson, two of the people that produced on the album, we got in a room together and created beats together from scratch. So like Batson would be on the MPC and Elizondo would be like playing a guitar riff, and I'd have some weird thing in front of me, and we'd jam out and just like create loops, and then I would take like 20 beats home with me from that day and write melodies and lyrics on top of that at home later.
And then let me just ask you, how did you end up on the Suicide Squad soundtrack?
I got asked to, come and view some of the scenes, and a lot of songwriters got asked to try to write some songs for that. The songwriting world is really hard because there's so much rejection. Like, I've written so many songs that got turned away from movies or artists or whatever.
Which is why it's so cool that you were part of this one.
Yeah, no, I feel very blessed that I landed 2 songs on the soundtrack, actually. Wreak Havoc is the one that I'm performing. My first rap song ever, by the way. And then I also wrote the Kehlani song, Gangsta. So, but we got to see some movie scenes and write directly, based off the characters.
Basically, whatever inspired you, you just went and wrote?
Yeah, I mean, they had, like, very specific scenes and, like, concepts that they wanted to try to get with the music and gave us a lot of direction.
Well, congratulations. I think that's pretty amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
And your first rap.
Yeah, I
Boom.
just started rapping recently. It's kind of been fun. I like to go on musical adventures, I call them, and it's like sometimes it ends up really bad, and then sometimes it's kind of cool. And rapping is one of those things. Like, I always wanted to try it, but I thought I would make myself look like an idiot, and people would hate it. So the first time I wrote a rap, I actually sent it to Eminem, and I was like, hey, tell me if this sucks, because if you say, don't do it again, then I won't. But he actually called me and said, hey, that sounds pretty cool. And he gave me, like, the confidence to keep trying, so that was nice.
Okay, people, before we go to the audience, let me just say this. Can you imagine sending something for feedback to Eminem and having him call you with, like, advice? Like, I'm so jealous of you right now.
It's pretty amazing. I feel very blessed that I get to do that.
Well, and to our audience, please.
Hi, thanks for being here.
Hi.
I was wondering, why do you connect to nature so much, and why do you think that fuels you creatively?
Well, there's 2 reasons. One is I was raised in the woods, and so I've always felt like more at home in nature. I feel more in touch with my innocence there. And then also, it puts things in perspective for me to be out in nature. You can see, God or whatever out there in the wilderness. Like, it's just insane that, like, a flower just can grow. Like, I don't know, I get really tripped out on that stuff, but that these bright colors can grow out of a little seed, and then it smells good too. Like, that's like Harry Potter or something. It's like magic. And so I'm very inspired by that, and it also just reminds me that I'm so insignificant in the big scheme of things. Like, it's funny, we put so much stress and emphasis on negative things in the world and emotions and stuff, and it's just dumb because it doesn't matter. Like, even if I die right now, the world's gonna keep turning, everybody's gonna keep going, and I just think that it helps me to just be more peaceful when I realize how insignificant I am in the big scheme of things, and it makes me, like, worry less. Like, I don't have to make anything a big deal, and so just that affects my state of happiness and the way I write music and all of that.
Especially when you're surrounded by mountains in Utah, I'm sure you're like, okay, I'm just one among many, as opposed to I'm the center of the world.
Exactly. And I think about that too when I get nervous going on stage. I'm like, it doesn't matter. There's like a couple hundred people here, and if I do a really bad show, it really doesn't matter. Like, don't be nervous. That's kind of how I help myself.
Next question, please.
Hey, Skylar, I love your outfit and the whole black aesthetic you have
Thank
going on.
you.
What's your style inspiration?
My what?
Or your
style
like,
inspiration? I don't know. I guess it's like my music, kind of experimental. I like to push the boundaries, and also I like to try to represent my sound through the way that I present myself visually a little bit, because it's kind of like branding yourself when you're like marketing music, and so my music tends to be moody and dark, and it always has been, always will be, and I have a little bit of that, like, I don't want to say gothic because that's like taking it too far, but just like a kind of darker vibe. And so I wear a lot of black. But it is what it is. I think also I was really into origami as a kid. And geometric, shapes and stuff. And that's why I think I'm really into a lot of Japanese designers, because they kind of incorporate that into the clothing, like really interesting silhouettes. I don't really get into prints when it comes to like clothing. Like I don't love prints, but I love a good silhouette.
Like Issey Miyake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like Yoji Yamamoto. Y3.
Come on. Like, yeah.
So good. I love the drop crotch. I'm one of those. Yeah.
And last question, please.
Hello. I wanted to know, has there ever been a song that you written for another artist or soundtrack that you wish you had saved for yourself?
Yes.
Which one?
I don't know if I should mention that.
Totally. If you're not comfortable mentioning names, you don't need to.
Well, okay. I will say, like, I was pretty bummed when I found out that it wasn't gonna be me singing "Gangsta" on the Suicide Squad soundtrack, because I wrote that song for myself, basically, like with myself in mind. I didn't think that somebody else was gonna sing it, but Kehlani killed it, so I'm not mad.
All right. Where can we get your album?
I don't know. Where can you get my album? Online.
Online, right?
Definitely online on iTunes and probably a lot of different
Amazon.
Yeah, and then you can order hard copies. I think probably some stores are carrying the hard copy. I'm not
like,
really
when you
sure.
said where can you get it, I was like, are there any record stores left?
Not
Like,
really.
I don't think so.
I know, it's so weird. I used to go to like Best Buy and get CDs, and I don't even know if they have CDs anymore.
go to
They sell
Tower Records.
refrigerators. What has happened?
And then for your tour dates in December on your website, right?
Yes, they will be there. They're not there yet, but we'll be announcing the tour date soon, so check them out.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.